All right, good morning, friends. It's morning where I am, this central London. It's story time. All right, so every now and then, I'm going to be bringing you real life stories, true stories from within the African community in the United Kingdom. Again, my name is KJ Ajayi. I'm privileged to be a pastor and gainfully employed within central London. I take time to make videos that add value to especially African migrants in the United Kingdom. And I hope you learn a few things. This morning, I want to share two stories with you. It concerns social services and the experiences of some African migrants. One was my personal experience, and the other was the experience of a family a bit close to me. It happened that we came in, like I said, March 7th, 2019, myself and my family migrated into the United Kingdom, and we're grateful for the opportunity. My son goes to school, and in course of talking with one of his peers, they were walking, it was their break time, they were walking into the field in school. Um, Both of them began to discuss about Nigeria. Apparently, the other kid is from a Nigerian family also. They both began to discuss about Nigeria and how Nigeria differs from the UK. Please don't mind me if my hands are shaking. Again, I'm not a professional videographer. I'm just hoping to give you valuable content. All right. So, and while they were talking, my son and his friend were talking. Uh, the a teacher passed by and overheard them discussing. And guess what? Without talking to the kids, the teacher reported to the principal. The principal called the social service. And before you say Jack, the social service was in school. They picked my son, took him to a particular class and began to interview him. Then they went to my daughter's class, who happens to be his younger sister. All of this without talking to us. We never knew what was going on. My son didn't know what was going on. He was still young. At that time, my son would probably be maybe about 9 or about maybe at the most 11. He's going to be 16 this year. They began to interview him. Uh, they went to his younger sister's class, who at that time was about maybe 6 or 7 at the most. They began to interview her. And then guess what? The social service traveled down to my older daughter's school. At that time, she was in the secondary school. Traveled down to her school, which is separate from the school of the other two children. And they went to interview her. Now, I'm bringing this to your attention because I need you as an African migrant to understand the seriousness of things in the United Kingdom and how very different the UK is from our home country, Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, whichever part of Africa you're coming from. It's very different. So get this clear. Once you step into the United Kingdom, those kids are not exactly your children anymore. All right? And very quickly, you would, if you're a careless parent, and in some instances, not carelessness, it's just that you don't have enough information to understand how the environment you have come into works. If these two things play out, what will likely happen is that you may be losing those kids. And although in some instances people will get their kids back after some months, in some instances after some years, some instances after some decades, those kids never return to their parents exactly the way they left. They are brown new people with new ideologies, in some instances, new spiritual influences. Not in some instances, most instances, new spiritual influences, because the system is not a praying system. The system is not built on the Bible. The system is not built on the Quran. The system is built on ideologies and philosophies that are deeply entrenched outside of these two systems. And the people that will take care of your kids, they are not Christians, all right? They are not Muslims. They are not religious people. They are people who have been paid to come and do jobs that they don't find exactly palatable, but just to make ends meet. And they will let your kids do almost anything. Anyway, back to my story. So the social service showed up in my son's school, picked him up from the class, picked up my younger daughter, went to a secondary school, the secondary school of my older daughter, and picked her up. And they began to interview them. And it was when they got home that we were finding out that, oh, this happened. And it didn't stop there. The social service went back to my son again, the second time, With that, and each time they did this, they did not give any indication to the school or to us that they were coming. I believe they must have informed the school they were coming, but they did not let us know. And now that is against the law. The social service is not supposed to be able to interview your kids in your absence or without the presence of an adult, because they don't know what they are saying. So an adult needs to be there. A consenting adult needs to be there. And this is another thing you need to understand. The system can violate herself just to trap you. All right. um, because many times they believe that people are doing underhanded things, shady things. Things are going on in family, children are being brutalized and molested, and these things are there. And so in some instance, to really get hold of people who may be perpetrating evil works, the system can violate our own laws just to pick you up. So they went to my son's school, my daughter's school, without telling us the second time, and then they went again the third time to let you see, for some crazy reasons, how desperate they were to probably get us on the wrong side of the law and take our kids from us. So my son was saying that, oh, the way they beat them in Nigeria is different from here. Now, understand, I think what got their attention is the fact that they were beaten. For most African parents, you know what this means. We don't spare. You even quote the Bible says, spoil the rod, spare the rod, and spoil the child. And some beat like the children are criminals. That was the conversation, and the teacher overheard it and went to report to social services. And we reached out to a few of our friends who live in the UK, and they advised us to get up and start running, start calling and confront them, let them know that, but this is inappropriate. You're supposed to consent with us or get our consent before you interview our kids. None of us was there. None of us were there. The children are too young. They may not even be able to express themselves, or they may say certain things that come out in a certain way. Seriously, myself and my wife, we got into prayers. The whole family got into prayers. And invariably, they came back to us and said, well, they couldn't find anything, that we are fine and the case is closed. But I'll tell you one thing, though. One of the reasons why they go to kids and they begin to interview kids is because children are innocent. Children will say it the way it is. So if your house is not conducive, if you are not a friend to your son or to your daughter, especially when they are young, if you make a habit of spanking, slapping, beating, tossing them around, if by any means or accident your children face social services, before you get there, you will be in very, very big trouble. I must say to you, many families have lost their children to social service in the UK. So again, please don't forget my counsel, befriend your children. All right? Please befriend your children. Everything is not spanking. As a matter of fact, my advice would be minimize, if possible, eliminate spanking. Look for other ways of gaining their attention or bringing discipline to them without losing your authority or that firmness. Okay? So, thank God, eventually they found nothing. The second incident with social services, and this happened to a family close to me. I just want you to know that social services are very, very close to you, closer to you than you think. And mistakes with your children can cost you a lot. The husband and the wife would work, the man would do night shifts, the woman would do morning shifts. But you see, and that's good. That's a family that has their children in mind. All right. Some families don't care. Some parents don't care. The mother goes out, the father goes out, everybody goes out. That is not what you want to do in the UK. All right. Plan it. If you, as the man, you're going to do day work, let your wife do night work. And as much as possible, ensure that you have at least 2 days in the week where the whole family is together. All right. This madness of trying to um, make all the money, especially Nigerians. I'm Nigerian. People would start converting pounds to naira. And a man who never earned 1 million naira in Nigeria is trying to earn 50 million naira in 3 months. And what happens? You put yourself to work, you put yourself to work, you begin to damage your health, you begin to lose out on your children, and very soon, even the job, you're unable to do much. All right? And then the kids are getting lost. Then the time comes when you must add the pressure of a bad health to misbehaving children that are not listening to you. I trust that that will not be your case. Okay, now, having said that, I'll tell you the story. This is the story of a true life story. A couple, great couple, very, very dutiful with their kids. They don't mess around with their children. Wonderful. Now, but this happened that The father had gone for a night shift, and the mother would resume in the morning. But occasionally, maybe because of traffic, the mother would have to leave home an hour before the father comes. So just 1 hour gap, leaving the children behind at home very early in the morning, around 5 o'clock. And mind you, one of the children in the family is actually old enough to take care of the children. That's the other thing. You need to understand that within the UK, although there may be no specific age, but it is considered not healthy to leave kids who are under 12 years old by themselves at home. All right. And so um, the mother left for work around 5. The father would come in around 6. You see, within that 1 hour, the last child, who was about 5 years old, woke up, went to the door, somehow managed to open the door at about 5:30 in the morning, and walked out of the house, walked onto the streets. The father had not arrived from work. The mother had gone to work. Very diligent parents. I'm telling you, very diligent parents. You wouldn't think anything can happen within 1 hour. But the child, I don't know whether the child was sleepwalking, stepped out and made her way into one of the most popular convenience stores around. You see them color blue, they are everywhere. And one of the staffs in that um, convenience store saw this child walking on the road very early in the morning, asked the child questions the child could not answer, and then picked up the child, put a call through to the police, and then the police came around. Um, and guess what? The family did not know. All right, the family did not know that the child was missing for like 2 or 3 hours. The family did not know. Okay, I have seen companies shut down for this. I worked in the care space once. There was a child in the care space that this child had was on autistic spectrum and was supposed to be sleeping upstairs. The carers, that's the thing, most carers don't care. All right, most carers don't care. The carers were downstairs, probably they had slept. You're not supposed to sleep as a carer. They had slept off, and the child was supposed to be downstairs. That child came out through the window, descended into the open space, and made its way into the community. And again, that child went into a convenience store. This boy was stark naked. The convenience store called the police. The police came to the care home. They found out that this where the boy is supposed to be. They called the carers and said, "Where's the kid you are taking care of?" Well, they said he's sleeping upstairs. They had slept. Don't protect your kids. All right. If social service take your kids, they are not going to return them the way they took them from you. They would return them as damaged goods. So I say to you, protect your kids. All right. And you know what? That particular care home was shut down. All right. So back to the story of the family. So the family didn't know that the girl was missing for about 3 hours. The father came back, probably thought that all of them were still sleeping upstairs. And then by the time they realized that the child was missing, it was about 8 o'clock in the morning. They started running helter skelter, going all around. And one of the people in the store who saw them realized they were looking for something, reached out to them and told them, "Oh, we saw this child about 5 o'clock and we called the police." So the child has been in the police station for 3 hours. That does not look good. Anyway, long story cut short, they reached out to the police. They had to explain themselves, explain what happened. Most of the times, when things like this happen, many times people have to come up with stories that are not exactly. Uh, anyway, you know what I'm saying, all right? So because again, all these things I've been listening to, there's no privacy, there's no secrecy anywhere. So we have to be careful the way we communicate these things. All right. So invariably, the police came to the house. They inspected the house. All right. They went through the nook and cranny of the house. They checked in the refrigerator to see if there's enough food. They checked in the rooms to see if there are no, if they don't have, if it's not that the child is not enjoying the house or home because the place is overcrowded. They checked the mattress, they checked the wardrobe, they checked everything. This is how detailed. Again, I tell you, you will think your child belongs to you. That child does not belong to you once you come into the UK. If you want to know the child does not belong to you, you don't pay enough attention. You go to work and leave them, and you may come back home to a family that is the children are gone. And As a matter of fact, in some instances, where the children go, you cannot go there. All right. So the police said, okay, we are comfortable, we're satisfied that it was an accident. We will still have to report to the social services. Once the police gets hold of issues like this, they must report to the social services, who then will carry out their own investigation and decide whether or not the child should stay with you. So again, I want to say to you, African migrants in the United Kingdom, please pay attention to your kids. Avoid spanking. I'm sure that I'm still going to do lots of videos along these lines. Again, I want you to know that daily, I drop 15 minutes content twice daily. Make effort to do it twice daily. If I can't, I'll do once. If there are any questions you'd like to ask me, feel free to drop in the comment section. I'll do my best when I'm off work to answer. And I'm hoping that we can have an African community in the United Kingdom that is forcible, that is beautiful, that can help each other to preserve the coming generation, so that our children don't fall away to crime, our marriages don't have to break, the men not sleeping around, men are not losing their lives prematurely. Many Africans are dying on trains. All right, they sit on trains and they are gone from working 2, 3 jobs. It does not have to be like that with you. I wish you the best. All right, cheers. Please, again, I want to plead with you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share um, the content. Let's help ourselves. Let's win together. You can do well in the UK, but the people, the information you have matters a great deal. It does matter. And I'm committed to bringing you valuable information and insights. And again, at some point, we'll go beyond meeting on YouTube to meeting on ground, where we'll be able to discuss certain things more detailedly. All right? Cheers.